You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. And I do want to go, though, to Pastor Dwight McKissic, the pastor out of Arlington, Texas, and he has been battling the issue of race within the Southern Baptist Convention. It actually, Pastor McKissic, these things are tied. What's happening in the United States Senate right now, and these white conservative evangelicals who are the backbone of the Republican Party, they are the ones who are also supporting these voter suppression laws across the country. The battle that you have been engaged in, it is supposed to be a theological one, but what you're really dealing with the issue of race and politics. So what you're seeing in the U.S. Senate, you actually are dealing with in the Southern Baptist Convention.
Actually, the issue is power. Who's going to control the political landscape? Will it be right-wing political conservatism that's very content with a number of African Americans not voting, as we saw the effort across the country to restrict voting? Paula White prayed for African angels to be loose and look like they were in Philadelphia and Atlanta and Detroit. All over, black people came out and voted, and the victory was won. But the critical race theory to suppress what can be taught about race and history in America is being pushed by Republicans. Voter suppression is being pushed by the Republicans. And unfortunately, we find that mindset, although we discovered it may not be the majority mindset, but it is a very substantial, significant mindset, exists in the Southern Baptist Convention. So it's unfortunate, Roland, that the South is rising again. And just like the Southern Baptist Convention gave the theological license for racism and segregation in America, in many ways, they are the backbone and the support of the Republican Party in this whole notion of voter suppression and trying to restrict what can be taught about history in our public school systems.
But you even have the new president of the SBC who literally had to disavow QAnon because it is running rampant in Southern Baptist churches. The reality is this here. These forces, they are the group that's supportive of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has a grip on the Republican Party. He has a grip on these white Southern Baptists. And the reality is the white conservative evangelicals, they are the most ardent supporters. They are the base of Trump and the Republican Party. And what we are seeing, not just with this made-up crap when it comes to critical race theory, but we're seeing this all across the board. And I have been saying for the longest, this is about power. This is about control and not wanting, frankly, those of us who are black to now have an opinion and a perspective to be able to impact the church and impact public policy.
Yeah, the Candace Owens and Vody Balkins, those persons who march in lockstep with that ideology. And I'm an independent voter. I'm neither Republican nor Democrat at the end of the day. I vote for the best man or woman, I think, who suits the needs of the hour. But those who are will dot every I and cross every T with current political Republican thinking, they don't mind those kinds of blacks being involved. The black gentleman is running for governor down in Georgia, Vernon, whatever his name is. But if you happen to be an independent thinker, as you are, Roland, one of the best out there, can articulate your viewpoints, give a rationale and basis for it, Southern Baptists don't like blacks that are independent thinkers and voters, nor do the Republican Party. However, I want us to take note of the fact that the Al Mohler, who was a ardent Trump supporter, lost the election along with Mike Stone, the two men who were most conservative and openly supporting Trump, lost the election. And Ed Litton, who we don't know for sure how he voted, but he did not come out in favor. He did not come out against CRT. Matter of fact, he signed a document with Fred Luter, myself, and others, more in line with justice and equality and fairness. And the person who won only by 600 votes, he doesn't appear publicly to be in line with the majority of the Republican mindset in SBC. That's interesting, Roland, because so many blacks, as you know, Ralph West, Charlie Day, so many pulled out, and others of us threatened to pull out. If they go on this strong anti-CRT rant and just in-your-face republicanism, like Al Mohler says, if you take the moral Christian position, you'll vote Republican. That's an insult to the millions of black Christians who vote Democrat because they promote justice and equality, fairness, health issues, and affordable health care, and other reasons why sometimes black people vote Democratic. I don't think God is riding the back of a donkey or of an elephant. God is God, but people have a right to, under God, make their voting decisions, and I don't think we ought to moralize or spiritualize how one votes as being in favor, in touch with God, or out of favor and in touch with God. But it's interesting. The Southern Baptist Convention, in some ways, may possibly have taken a turn by voting a candidate that nobody thought would win, that Fred Luter supported. I supported because he was the one who had a more biblical and balanced view when it comes to some of these hot-button issues.
Well, it is certainly interesting times, and I have been warning people this for a long time. What you're seeing white fear run amok. You're seeing it boils down to power, and you know, I got a kick out of Meghan McCain yesterday on The View, calling into question the spirituality of President Joe Biden because he is pro-choice and he's a Catholic, and the U.S. Conference of Bishops, Catholic bishops, passed a resolution. They want to deny communion to any Catholic who supports abortion. And my response to her was simply, hey, but the Catholic Church is also a strong believer against the death penalty. And are they going to deny communion to those who support the death penalty? It's amazing when folks love to pick and choose what biblical principles they want to support, but then they also want to talk about separation of church and state when it suits their needs.
You make a very good point. If we go to denying people communion based on theological or political positions that they hold, which one of us won't get denied communion? As you know, black people are not monolithic ourselves. A wide variety of opinions on a lot of different issues. And I think when it comes to the Lord's Supper in God's house, if you believe in the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, the substitutionary atonement of Jesus Christ, that ought to be the sole basis for the Lord's Supper, not how one check a box when it comes to politics. So I think the Catholic Church is out of lockstep on that issue. And I think it would be just really unfair if we go to asking people to check political boxes to determine whether or not we'll serve them the Lord's Supper.
Well, I'll tell you this here. I also said this to Meghan McCain. I said, the Bible talks a whole lot about the poor, and there's a whole bunch of folks, especially on the right, on the Republican side, whose policies are not in line with the poor. I said, so if y'all want to have that conversation, let's have it.
You're exactly right. A safety net was provided in Scripture. God said, keep a corner of your field for the strangers, the aliens, the foreigners, the what sometimes are called the immigrants or illegal immigrants. He said, make sure you plant enough food to take care of them. Remember the poor, is we find that in Galatians 2:10, as Paul said, as a way of demonstrating your faith. God has a heart for justice, equality, and the poor. He has showed the old man what is good, to do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with our God. And sometimes we find that lacking in the Republican Party. I think one reason George Bush, whether you like him or not, succeeded, he touted compassionate conservatism. And to some degree, I think he modeled and demonstrated compassionate conservatism. We're not used to seeing that among Republicans, and certainly not since Ronald Reagan. My mama named me Dwight after Dwight David Eisenhower. So at some point, blacks have not always had animus toward the Republican Party, but we have seen some ruthless things here under the Trump administration when it comes to race. And we are continuing to see a bent toward taking things back. Make America great again. Many of us feared that might mean make white America great again, or take it back to a time where blacks were not empowered and didn't have some opportunities and hope for a brighter day as we have today. And I think, Roland, I appreciate what you're doing and so many others to make sure that this voter suppression will not succeed, and that compassion and mercy and justice for the poor is always a part of our political landscape.
All right, Pastor Dwight McKissic, Cornerstone Baptist Church, Arlington, Texas. We surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland. God bless you. Good being with you today.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
You know, Steve got all these jobs, got all this money, got all these awards. You know, he talk about God and the Lord and his wife all the time. So he was over here talking, and his wife was there, and I knew it was his wife, so I walked up behind her and gave her a kiss on the cheek. The projects in Steve came out in about 10 seconds, because he was like, I'm hearing some kissing over here. Who the hell is kissing my wife?
Well, Roland, you leaned into it and you was doing it just to aggravate me, and I heard it out my ear, and I went, okay, man, I don't know who this brother is, but Essence is about to be different. And I spun, and it was the ignorant Roland Martin messing with me. But hey, man, you know how I feel about that girl. So it was quite interesting, and I had to apologize because the CEO of Essence was standing right there, and me and Roland almost turned the festival out. It would have been quite different.
Now, speaking of turn the festival out, we also are always on our pocket square game. Always.
Now, I got to give Roland credit. We always battling each other for the different looks. Pocket squares are something we kind of specialize in. We try to make it. This is topping the game right now. This I've never seen. I will be stealing this look. As soon as I find the people from out of this country that he bought this stuff from, and I get a proper email, I'll be sending to China or wherever he bought Japan or Yugoslavia, wherever they made this, and I will be looking. That is hot. I got to give it to you. That's the best pocket square I've ever seen.
Now, last piece. Steve is a big golfer. I'm a big golfer. So when we gonna have this golfing brothers thing?
See, Roland, you're trying to talk me into something that you've been doing a lot longer than I. See, you've been playing golf since college.
I took it as my PE at Texas A&M in '87.
See, right there, I picked up golf after Tiger won the Masters. And then I bought a set of clubs and played with a custom set of clubs for 5 years without a lesson. I can't tell you the bad stuff I've ingrained into this swing. I just now started going over the top. I just cut that out. So, and I'm playing good though. I'm playing good for me. Well, what's your best score?
77.
That'll never happen here.
Well, Rodney Green is working with him. He's our good friend as well. But
77. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm taking a full-page ad out in the USA Today.
All right, folks, don't forget this Friday, the virtual festival, Essence Fest Live Loud Virtual Festival begins this Friday. You can go to essencestudio.com, essence.com. The virtual festival will take place Friday through Sunday, and then, of course, it takes place again next weekend, July 2nd through the 4th. On Monday, we're going to have a recap of the first weekend of the virtual festival. And then, of course, on July 5th, we're going to have a recap of the second weekend.